Okay, I want to show how we do the project management problems. We'll start with that simpler one. These are the kind of problems we're doing in Workshop 1. So I'm going to pick an example to get some data. I'm choosing page 73 in the textbook. There's a table there showing some activity times and some predecessors. So I'm going to open POM and load it up and see if I can get some information on this. So we'll open POM. Okay, that's the tip for the day. And now I'm going to open Project Management. All right, then choose File, New, Single Time Estimate. That's the simplest type. We're going to do some of those. The number of activities is 8 in the data that's on page 73. So I'll keep clicking this until I get it to 8. That's a good format right there for the row names and so forth, and I'll say OK. And I get this table, and the table has A through H on that side. Now I got to put in the activity times. So I'll just look at this table and put those in. 4756, 4756, and then 31143. 31143. All right, and I got those off of that table again on page 73. Now the predecessors. Now the first three have no predecessor. That means that nothing has to happen before we can start that particular activity. But activity D does have a predecessor, and it is A. The next one has B as a predecessor, and the next one has C. The next one has 2 of them, so I have to put one of them in that column and one of them in the next column. And then the last one is F and G. F and G. So that means that 2 things have to happen before H can happen, all right? So I've loaded the chart. I'm ready to go. I push Solve. All right, push Solve. That chart comes up. First thing I can determine is that the red zeros are the critical path. That would be C, and that one's F and H. C, F, and H, that's critical path. Just by looking at a chart, I could see that. Whenever an activity has 0 slack time, that means it's on the critical path. You cannot miss that event. If you do, you'll lengthen the project time. The other ones that have the numbers 2 in them, that's the number of days that I can slack on that assignment. That one doesn't have to be done exactly on time. I have 2 days with which to start that one without jeopardizing the project time. All right, so if I go to charts, I'll come up. This is the Gantt chart. Again, it shows a critical path in red. C, F, and H is a critical path. Also, I can look, and there's 19. That's the number of days. That's the project duration. So on this program right here, just looking at this Gantt chart, I can answer 2 of the questions that I'm typically asked. How long is the project? How long will it take? And what's the critical path? And so I can answer both of those. Now, the other graph that they sometimes ask for, they usually ask for a network diagram. That's this one. It's called the precedence graph. I click on that, and I get the figure that looks just like the one on page 73 in the middle. That shows the critical path, the activity network. C, F, and H, again, is the critical path. You can see that there. So if I look at this chart, I can see that C, F, and H is a critical path. How do I get the project duration? It is this number plus this number plus this number, and you can see that adds up to 19. So that's how we do one of these simple ones. Now, when you're doing your homework, what you're going to do is you need to show this graph, and you need to show the chart and put it on a Word document. If you look at the directions for your homework, you're going to put them on a Word document. So I copied it. I right-click on this graph and say Copy, and I go to Word, and I open up Word, and I paste it in Word. Okay? And the same thing for the chart, if I want to put it in there. So let me just find Word here. Open that up. And that is not what I wanted. I'm looking here. There we go. Here's Word. I open up a file. I right-click on it, and I say paste it, and there's that chart. So this is how I do my homework. I put in that chart. Up here I'll say what the project number is up in there, and then I put in my chart, and then I put in the answers to the question. Now one of the things I have to see is the answers to the question. You can't just give me that chart. That's not the answer to the question. The answer to the question is, what's the project duration? You actually have to show me that you know that it's 19, okay? So that's how we do the homework. Everything goes onto Word by copying off of POM and into the Word document, okay? So now that's the end of this video, and if you have any questions, you can let me know by email or even go on the course forum, okay? Thanks.